Hey everyone, Sky Twiz here. Got a couple of model unboxings to do today. This one, it's two kits of the same subject matter by two different manufacturers. I just want to do like a comparison to sort of see which one is possibly the best one. As you can see, it is at the moment the top one is Airfix's version, the BA Hawk. This is in the Red Arrows library. Now, I already have several Hawk kits from Airfix. None of them are different. They are all same 1/72 scale. It's basically the same kit. I don't think any of them are like a different moulding. And let's face it, why should it be any different? It's the same plane. Now this one is actually officially licensed by the Red Arrows themselves. And to compare it to, the Revell BAE T1 Red Arrows Hawk. So again, this one is officially licensed way back when. Neither of these two kits are new ones, they are fairly old. But I just wanted to do a comparison. So I'll take quickly the Airfix one first. So only the one library, obviously, because it is Red Arrows. It says it's 163 long, 130 wide, and it's 66 pieces. Whereas if we look at the Revell one, based on the front of the box, it's 161 long, so it's 2mm shorter, and it's 130mm wide, so it's the same width but about 2mm shorter for some reason. And this one is 70 parts, so 4 more parts than the Airfix kit. This is done as a skill level 3, this one skill level 1. So in theory, this one should have more parts to it and be more detailed. This one less so. But just based on what it says on the box, they are roughly the same. Now looking at the box art itself, I think here I'm going to say the Airfix one wins out slightly because you've got the two arrows doing their crossover, whereas the Revell one, there are 3 on the box, but it just looks like they're flying on formation. Now you will notice that there is difference on the actual markings. The tail plane is different on the two of them, so it's a slightly different era of the Red Arrows, probably different year when they were displaying. There's not much else on the Airfix box. Also the Airfix club mentioned. One club, one flying hour for those that are interested in that. On the Revell one, Revell at least do show various views of their kit. It's also got a paint on the back. The Airfix one had theirs on the side. I'm going to put the Revell one to the side one second. We'll focus initially on the Airfix. So let's get this box open. Sealed. Okay, so I'm going to say, based on the colour of this one, plastic, can't get it out, come on, there we go. Yeah, based on the colour of the plastic, this is a lighter grey to the last Hawk I made, and I think the darker grey is a newer injection moulding. However, looking at this, I think it is still the same actual mould, it's just different plastic they used. Lower wing, it's one piece. Tail plane. Front wheel. Where 2-seater bathtub for the cockpit. I know the cockpit on this is not normally very detailed. There's the wings. There's some nice detail on it. Doesn't look to be too much flashing. So look at the actual fuselage itself. There's a little bit there, but it's not too bad. The moulding doesn't look, you know, it looks nice and clean. I can't see anything that looks like any residue left on there. Let's put up the canopy. Let's just look at the clear parts, see what they're like. There's a little bit of distortion on these clear parts, you can see. The ejection explosive is moulded on. It doesn't look too bad. And what else do we get in the box? A bit on the Airfix club, not interested in that. The decals. So which ones are these? They look fairly crisp, they look okay. And then what feels like quite a hefty manual, to be honest. Oh. Look at, okay. So paint scheme, obviously red. It is a gloss red, should be a high gloss red. Yeah, red arrows. Yep, that's it. This one says it's Scampton from 2008. So that gives you some sort of idea of the year. Colour scheme correction there. So obviously the manual is probably, this is probably the same manual that they use for all the other Hawks. There's a very simplistic cockpit. There doesn't even appear to be, looking at that, a decal for the cockpit, though it is on the decal sheet. Oh, no, actually they are there. Now with a Hawk, we've got to remember to put some weight in the nose. On the Airfix one, the Airfix say 5 grams. I've added 5 grams to these before, and they've still ended up being tail sitters. So definitely more than 5 grams needed. It's a fairly simple kit, not much to it. One thing that I note that this doesn't have is the smoke injectors on the tail. So right by the exhaust, there should be 3 nozzles for the different coloured smoke. Right, that's quickly the Airfix one. Let's put that back in the box. And then we'll have a quick look at the Revell one. So swap them over. Get that out of the way. So now we're going to have a look at the Revell box. I believe this is still sealed. Yeah. So we get everything out. Is that it? Yeah, that is it. Not sure what that is. Don't know. Don't need. Right. So straight away, one difference I can see is that the Revell kit is obviously moulded in red plastic. That'll make it easier when it comes to painting. However, I intend to spray paint this in gloss red in one hit. So I'm not too fussed about that. Looking at that again, the lower is in one piece, the lower wing. The fuselage this time is on separate sprues. I am noticing on here the slight discoloration on some of the parts. I don't know if that's coming up on camera there. Not sure what causes that, but I've seen it before on some models. Don't know if it's the residue they use in the injection mould. That's probably the exhaust. Let's have a look at this one. Detail levels look about to be about the same, except for here in the cockpit, there's a bit more detail on the cockpit. And actually, I don't know if it's coming up on camera there, but the instrument consoles have actually got instruments marked on them, whereas the Airfix one was just plain. Let's have a look at their canopy. Oh, this feels, compared to the Airfix one, this feels more brittle, I've got to admit. However, possibly less distortion in it. And again, the cockpit ejection explosive is moulded on. There's definitely more flashing on this one. However, I noticed that the separation piece between the two, pilot and the navigator, has actually got some detail on it, which wasn't on the Airfix kit. Put that to one side. Let's have a look at their manual and decals. So here's the decals. I've got to admit, I think these look a little bit nicer than the Airfix ones. It's actually got the harnesses for the seatbelt, which Airfix didn't have. They just look a little bit crisper. Right, Revell's Hawk. One thing I like about Revell is that their instructions tend to be in colour. And it's easy to see where the decals are, what's paint and what's part numbers. Their seats seem to be made of more parts than the Airfix kit. There's no mention of any weight in the nose. Don't see that. It's just saying put it together. I don't know if that means this doesn't need to have a weighted nose, in which case it sits properly. I'll probably still put some weight in those just in case. Again, it doesn't appear to have the nozzles for the smoke on the back. Might be a bit early. Let's have a look. No. No. Yes. So this actually does have included the 3 nozzles for the smoke. So that's a win over the Airfix one. Again, this is Scantum, but this time it's the 2015. So we've gone from 2008 to 2015. So about 7 years difference. Hence why the tail markings are different. It looks like, to me, the Airfix one's slightly better moulded, but the other one has slightly better parts and detail on it. So let's have a look at the two together. Let's put that to one side. Where's the Airfix one gone? There's the Airfix instructions. I think Revell are better instructions. The painting guide. Airfix has done it separate because obviously it's their standard Hawk kit that they've just boxed up for the red arrows. Let's get all the parts out. So let's have a look at these side by side, shall we? Let's get the fuselage sections. 2 bits of the fuselage. Here we go. Now I can see from the Airfix one, it's got the upper part moulded. The cockpit section looks to be a little bit longer. Obviously it hasn't got the tailplane moulded onto it. I'm looking at the panels. Panels are there, panels are there. There are some slight differences. So I'm seeing on Airfix it's got, I don't know if it's coming up on camera again, but there's 2 small panels there that aren't shown up on the Revell one. Everyone just about shows the front ones here, which the Airfix has got. Let's have a look at the lower wing sections. Let's compare the 2 lower wings. Just so we can get to see details. So the lower wings again, definitely more on the lower wing. For the other one, it's a longer wing. This has separate sections. Airfix though have got the undercarriage, some detail. There's a panel here which isn't on this one because it's not as long. They've got more markings here but less panels. This has got more access panels and hatches. It's hard to judge the size, but there's a slight difference in the size between them. Well, shall we look at the cockpit? Right, it's the bathtub for the cockpit. So you can see for the Revell one, there's some nice raised details, and that is the Airfix one, quite plain. Definitely Revell one is better than the Airfix one. Right, let's have a look at the two decal sheets. Where's the decal sheet for this one gone? I've lost the decals. Oh no. So here we go. Decals. I think, yeah, the Airfix ones are glossier, shinier. But the outline of them, where the adhesive is for the decals, is actually further away. It's tighter on the Revell ones. They both give you the registrations, so you can have all 10 of the hours. And for anyone who's been following news on the red hours lately, they're now down to 7 aircraft instead of 10, because obviously the Hawk is due to go out of service soon and there's not enough parts available. So they are trying to extend the life by using less of the aircraft. Overall, it's a close call between the two. I think Airfix wins out on the clear parts. These don't seem to be as brittle. They don't have that feel to be as brittle as the Revell ones. They seem a little bit crisper. Definitely on the etching for the canopy explosive, it's much nicer. However, Revell do have that little detail going around here, whereas that's just plain. I think the detail on the fuselage of the Airfix kit is slightly better than the Revell ones. However, the decals for Revell are better. The Airfix ones lose out there. The instruction sheet for Revell, I think, is a little bit better and nicely laid out. I always prefer them to Airfix. But Revell is supposed to be a level 3. Airfix is only a level 1. And I can't really tell you there's much difference between those two. I'd have thought that the level 3 should be a lot harder. But the amount of parts and detail on it, it's not much worse. So I'll phrase that, it's not much more complicated than this level 1 skill for Airfix. I can't remember for the life of me at the moment what the prices were. However, I got the Airfix one off of eBay. So it was from a second-hand user, which, considering second-hand, the box is a bit damaged, but the kit itself is still fine. Whereas Revell, I bought from my local Hobbycraft. I think this one was about 15 quid, and this one was about 9 or 10. So the Airfix is slightly cheaper. Value for money, again, I think Airfix just wins out there with value for money because it was a cheaper kit, but there's not much difference between the two with parts and quality. I think literally Airfix just win it by price. However, Revell, because they've got the 3 nozzles for the smoke at the end, that actually puts them a little bit, yeah, evens out some of the Airfix things that the Airfix don't have. Obviously, the proof of the pudding is to have both of these built and then seeing if anyone can tell which one was Airfix which one was Revell after the build. That's not going to happen for some time. I've got a backlog of other kits that I want to do. I just want to do this comparison first, as I've had them here now. In fact, I've had them for about a month, 2 months. I just not got around to doing the video until today. But I really want to show you that different manufacturers make the same kit in the same scale, same markings, but there can still be differences. Quality, instruction sheets, decals. Everyone says, yeah, this brand's best, this brand is worst. Here's two, I would say, middle of the road brands. Airfix is quite obviously in the UK, very big, very common. Revell, on the other hand, they're big, they're common, but I don't think they quite have the impact in this country as Airfix do. But their range, I think Revell's range, to be honest, from what I can remember and what I've seen lately, is better still than Airfix. Airfix seems to be narrowing down their range. However, it's up to you. You've seen what the Revell kit's got, you've seen what the Airfix kit's got. You can be the judge. Go out and get the one that you think suits you. And that's it really. That's what I was saying. See you later.